Once upon a time, there was a girl named Sarah. She lived in a small village with her family. One day, a new boy named Jack moved to the village. Sarah and Jack met at the village market and they fell in love. They spent all their time together and had many adventures. One day, Jack had to leave the village to go to the city for work. Sarah was very sad because she missed Jack. She wrote letters to him every day and waited for him to come back. After many months, Jack returned to the village. He was very happy to see Sarah again. He told her that he loved her and asked her to marry him. Sarah was very happy and said yes. They got married in the village church and had a big party with all the villagers. They lived happily ever after. Another story. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Emily. She worked as a nurse in a hospital. One day, a patient named Michael was brought into her ward. Emily was immediately drawn to him, but she didn't know if he felt the same way. As Emily took care of Michael, they started to talk and get to know each other. They discovered that they had a lot in common and they both felt a strong connection. Despite the fact that Michael was a patient and Emily was a nurse, they started dating. They spent every moment they could together, and they fell deeply in love. However, Michael's health was not good and he eventually had to return home. Emily was heartbroken, but Michael promised her that he would come back for her. Months passed, and Michael returned to the hospital to visit Emily. He told her that he had been working hard to get better and that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. Emily was overjoyed and they were married in the hospital chapel. They lived happily ever after. Another romantic story. Once upon a time, there was a young man named David. He was a farmer and he lived alone on a farm in the countryside. He spent most of his days working hard, but he always felt lonely. One day, a young woman named Rachel came to the farm. She was looking for a place to stay, and David offered to rent her a room in his house. Rachel was grateful and moved in right away. As they spent more time together, David and Rachel started to get to know each other. They found that they had a lot in common and they both enjoyed each other's company. David realized that he had feelings for Rachel, but he didn't know if she felt the same way. One day, David mustered up the courage to tell Rachel how he felt. To his surprise, Rachel felt the same way and they started dating. They fell deeply in love and spent all their time together. David and Rachel decided to get married on the farm. They invited all their friends and family, and they had a beautiful wedding in the gardens. They lived happily ever after, working together on the farm and making a life together. Another one. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Laura. She was a student in college and spent most of her time studying. She didn't have much time for socializing or dating. One day, while studying at the library, she met a young man named Alex. They started talking and Laura found that she enjoyed his company. They exchanged numbers and started to hang out more often. As they spent more time together, Laura and Alex realized that they had a special connection. They started to develop feelings for each other. But Laura was hesitant to start a relationship, as she wanted to focus on her studies. Alex understood and he did not pressure her, but he made it clear that he was there for her and he was willing to wait for her. In the end, Laura realized that she couldn't imagine her life without Alex and they started dating. As the years passed, Laura graduated from college and got a job in her field. Alex proposed to her and they got married. They built a life together and were happy ever after. Another one. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Jane. She was a hardworking and ambitious person, but she had always felt something missing in her life. She longed for love and companionship. One day, while working at her job in the city, she met a young man named Tom. He was charming, kind, and had a great sense of humor. They started talking and found that they had a lot in common. They exchanged numbers and started to hang out more often. As they spent more time together, Jane and Tom realized that they had a special connection. They started to develop feelings for each other. They enjoyed each other's company and they had great conversations. They both felt like they had found someone special. However, life wasn't easy for Jane and Tom. They both had demanding jobs and busy schedules. They often struggled to find time to be together. But despite the difficulties, they never gave up on each other. They knew that their love was worth fighting for. Years passed, and Jane and Tom's love for each other only grew stronger. They decided to take the next step and move in together. They found a cozy apartment in the city and started building a life together. They made each other happy and fulfilled. One day, Tom proposed to Jane and she said yes. They got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by their family and friends. They were so in love and grateful to have found each other. As they grew old together, they looked back on their lives and knew that they had made the right choice. They had built a beautiful life together and they were happy ever after. Another story for you. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Jack. He was a successful businessman, but he had always felt something missing in his life. He longed for true love and companionship. One day, while on a trip to a small town, he met a young woman named Sophie. She was a kind, caring, and had a beautiful smile. They met at a local cafe, and they struck up a conversation. They found that they had a lot in common and they exchanged numbers. As they started to talk more, Jack and Sophie realized that they had a special connection. They started to develop feelings for each other, but Jack was hesitant to start a relationship because he was worried about his busy schedule and the distance between them. Sophie understood and she did not pressure him, but she made it clear that she was interested in getting to know him better. Jack couldn't stop thinking about Sophie and he knew he had to make a decision. Eventually, Jack decided to take a chance on love and he asked Sophie out on a date. They started dating and they quickly fell in love. They made the long distance work and they saw each other whenever they could. Years passed, and Jack and Sophie's love for each other only grew stronger. They decided to take the next step and move in together. They found a beautiful house in the countryside and started building a life together. One day, Jack proposed to Sophie and she said yes. They got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by their family and friends. They were so in love and grateful to have found each other. As they grew old together, they looked back on their lives and knew that they had made the right choice. They had built a beautiful life together and they were happy ever after. Another story. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Emily. She was a kind, independent, and adventurous person. She had always been drawn to travel and explore new places. However, she had never found the right person to share her adventures with. One day, while on a trip to a remote island, she met a young man named Ryan. He was a passionate and experienced traveler. They met on a tour of the island and they quickly hit it off. They exchanged numbers and started to hang out more often. As they spent more time together, Emily and Ryan realized that they had a special connection. They shared a love of adventure and exploring new places. They started to develop feelings for each other. But Emily was hesitant to start a relationship because she was worried about their different lifestyles. Ryan understood and he did not pressure her, but he made it clear that he was there for her and he was willing to make things work. Emily couldn't stop thinking about Ryan and she knew she had to make a decision. Eventually, Emily decided to take a chance on love and she asked Ryan out on a date. They started dating and they quickly fell in love. They began to travel the world together, experiencing new cultures and making unforgettable memories. Years passed, and Emily and Ryan's love for each other only grew stronger. They decided to take the next step and move in together. They found a beautiful apartment in the city, but they continued to travel whenever they could. One day, Ryan proposed to Emily on a beautiful beach while they were on a trip. She said yes, and they got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by their family and friends. They were so in love and grateful to have found each other. As they grew old together, they looked back on their lives and knew that they had made the right choice. They had built a beautiful life together and they were happy ever after. Like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. See you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. See you soon.